In the news tonight, Barbados remains under a tropical storm watch as Hurricane Tammy tracks through the north of the island and is expected to have some impact. To tell us the importance, the Prime Minister, that is, believes the youth is needed in the effort to save the planet and build peace. The importance of cooperatives emphasized as a credit union celebrates its 40th anniversary. And in sports, Barbados Pride win their first Super 50 contest against the Scorpions.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. Thanks for tuning in. In our top story tonight, Barbados remains under a tropical storm watch as Hurricane Tammy tracks to the north of the island and is expected to have some impact. To tell us exactly what to expect is Director of Meteorological Services, Sabu Best. Well, Sabu, we've had a bit of rain today, so what's in store for tonight?
Hi, Lisa. Good night to you, and good night to all of your listeners and viewers. So, what to expect? Here's Barbados. We have Tammy. Center of Tammy, all the way here is around 85 miles to the north of Barbados. And so 5 p.m. it is. At 5 p.m. Tammy was centered near 40.3 degrees north, 59.2 degrees west. Like I said, about 85 miles to the north of the island. It's not focused on the center. Like we've always been saying, our concern was these feeder bands, as you can see here. They're almost literally surrounding the island. Earlier today, we already are measured storm force winds in this area, this feeder band here, just on the lower end of storm force, 40 to 45 miles per hour. It's pretty much weakened a bit now, which is great news. But we're going to be watching for additional feeder bands that will develop, that can develop rather, very close to Barbados, the south or north side of the island. We need to monitor the situation as the night progresses. Now, the good news, like I said, the systems continue to move away from the island. And once that continues, these area of storm force winds are actually in the southeastern quadrant, should move pretty close to the island or just offshore, I say, move further away from the island as the night progresses. Let's hope that none of these winds even get to the island and things are looking a lot better, but we need to be vigilant and we need to monitor the situation. Now you see a big open area right here where there's not a lot of rain or showers going on. It's because there's some dry air that wrapped around from the northwest into the core itself. And that kind of eroded away the eye wall of Tammy. And that's all good news. Let's hope that continues to hinder Tammy's development. And also it would also hinder any kind of development of a feeder band coming across the island. These feeder band are stretching all the way to the south of the island. The radar is not detecting a lot of strong wind section. The feeder band are pretty okay in this area we're watching. There's a drone that we have in the water that's 75 kilometers to southeast. The winds being reported by the drones is also pretty okay at this point in time.
So if we start to feel anything, around what time do you anticipate we should, feel any of those winds or rain or anything?
That's a good question. That's a question everyone wants to know. And so from before we give that time range, as the wind this band was expected to be close to the island, and that range was from 5 p.m. initially to 11 or so. We kind of shifted it slightly to 6 p.m. to midnight or just after midnight. Those predictions are pretty good. The battery on our doorstep, right there on our doorstep, but it's not moving much. One, because time is moving very slowly, and two, they tend to develop and then dissipate and then redevelop in another area. So that is what we must be mindful of, where that feeder band is going to develop next. Which, like I said, it should be very close to Barbados or just north of us. Let's hope it's north of us and away from us as the night progresses. That can happen at any time throughout the course of the night, say within the next 6 to 8 hours. That's where we have to be mindful. But like I said, the really good thing is that even though it can develop to our north, the thing is that the center is moving away. And once the center moves away, then those winds associated with the core, the center of the system, also will move away with Tammy from the island. But I must mention, Lisa, that even though if the core moves, when the core moves away from the island throughout the course of the night, and we're out of range from the storm force winds, there's still the possibility of feeder bands still developing well outside of the core that we've seen with previous systems. And so we have to be mindful that we can still get showers come later on after midnight or even into Saturday morning. And we have to be always watching, be mindful of this.
Right. Okay.
Condition can change.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Sabu Best, the Director of the Meteorological Services. Nothing major yet from Hurricane Tammy, but we remain watchful. A number of disaster management agencies sprung into action today in response to Hurricane Tammy. Crystal Hoyt has those details.
Although Barbados hasn't felt the full impact of Hurricane Tammy, preparations got underway from early for whatever impact Hurricane Tammy would have on Barbados. As part of the island's standard protocol, there was heightened activity involving several entities, as explained by Minister of Home Affairs Wilfred Abrams.
What the public would see going on anytime a watch is issued is clearing of outfalls, clearing of particular areas that have drainage issues and cause flooding. You would have seen the clearing down there by the pump house side down Fontebelle. It's because if we clear downstream, it prevents blockage and flooding upstream.
Minister Abrams added that the effects of feeder bans could still be felt.
The vast majority of the ill effects of this system are not going to impact Barbados. But the last system that passed us, all the thunder and the wind that we got and the lightning storms, that was from feeder bands. So we have to carefully monitor the system until the system has safely passed us and all the effects have passed.
Acting Chief Technical Officer at the Ministry of Transport, Works and Water Resources, Jason Boeing, said the Drainage Unit and the Barbados Water Authority were focusing on the trouble areas. When I caught up with the teams, they were in Fontebelle.
This is the final endpoint for most of the drainage which comes from a greater part of the Bridgetown area. This is extremely important because most of the water which drains from the western side of Bridgetown flows to this point. Now the water comes to this point, if it stays here, it will cause flooding in the Murphy's Pasture area. So what happens here is a pump house. It literally lifts the water to a higher elevation and allows the water to go out to sea. Without that, Murphy's Pasture and other areas will flood.
While waterways were being cleared, boat owners and fishermen were securing their vessels.
Since that, it's a strong possibility you can lose your craft in bad weather. It'd be much safer on land, that's why I bought a thing. That's the main reason why I bought a thing. They impact on business, but basically, you can't really make a sacrifice for your boat towards business. You got to secure your business, right? So therefore, you got to keep our boat on safe land until they give you the okay for the weather, and then we out and gone again.
Commercial diver Kamal Abdul-Jabbar said it's important for fisherfolk to heed the warnings.
It's best that whenever you see a system, don't take anything for granted. Don't wait on the weather report to say, okay, it's near here, going to make the preparations. You make your preparations early. The weather's coming in the north. The dive boat is in Half Moon Fort in St. Lucie. So down there is getting kind of bad to get some big seas, you know, and so we have to take our vessels out. The ones who don't take theirs out, they go to Port St. Charles for safekeeping until the weather passes.
The boat owners and fisherfolk are hoping Hurricane Tammy will pass without too much of an impact. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
And as Hurricane Tammy swirled away to the north of Barbados, it was business as usual on the island. Now, usually at first notice of any pending weather, Barbadians rushed in their numbers to supermarkets and hardware stores. Well, today was noticeably different, especially along the west and north coasts, as our roving camera revealed. One shopper who spoke with us indicated why he was out.
Today is my normal shopping day, but it just happened to be caught up in the rush. So just getting a few little things and go home. I don't really expect it to be too much, too serious. So just the normal things, make sure that everything closes up properly, and that's it, basically.
The Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs has activated its disaster social relief plan. Minister Kirk Humphrey spoke about what it involves on the sidelines of an event this morning.
But as part of our disaster social relief plan, we have a number of social workers who are on standby, who move in as necessary. One of the things that we do is that we tell people in advance First of all, we encourage people to listen to the messages on the radio and television and to seek shelter if they can. But for those who are part of our ministry's outreach, we reach out to them beforehand to figure out if there's anything they need, if they want to be moved, and then those persons are moved. We've just, in our detailed plan, we've put in place timelines for when we will be able to move according to the watch and when it's clear and so on. And so that disaster social relief plan has been activated.
Minister Humphrey also spoke about provisions for the homeless.
Those who are willing to be moved will be moved. We've been working with Mr. Safri for a number of years to make sure that is possible. But I also know that at this time, persons find safe shelter. And so we would hope as well that they too, like other persons, seek shelter. They're willing, the shelter is not closed in the event of a disaster. Shelters are not closed to the homeless. Shelters in Barbados are open to everybody. The place that Kemar Safri runs, the Alliance for to End Homelessness, we know for sure that they're allowed to go into there. And they also know that family members are prepared to take in a lot of the persons who are on the street. So again, we would encourage them to move early as opposed to late, but the government will not be driving around dragging people off the street.
Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley has told young people from Canada their input will be needed to help save the planet and build peace. Ms. Motley was participating in a town hall meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and students in Toronto. The topic, building a strong, prosperous, healthy world. She told the youngsters mature discussions are needed on complex issues of today.
If there's one thing I want to leave with you here this evening, is that your generation, more than any other, is going to be required to break that mold. Because if you don't, you've been left to a nation or a world in which you have to be exceedingly discerning in being able to determine what is fake and what is real. You're left to a world where conversations that ought to be long and mature are tried to be condensed by those who make money in the media, as they must, in short sound bites. But it doesn't give you the nuance, and it doesn't give you, life doesn't work that way. So that if you are going to help save this planet and create opportunities for your future, for yourself and your family, you're going to have to break that mold.
Coming up on Newsnight, the first food and rum event held for this year was at Oyston's Bay Garden. We'll tell you more. The first official event of the Barbados Food and Rum Festival was last night, and Barbadians and visitors came out in their numbers at Oyston's under the stores. Our Crystal Hoyt has more.
The Barbados Food and Rum Festival has officially begun. Last night, Oystings Under the Stores was held at the Oystings Bay Gardens in Christchurch, with food, rum, music and vibes. As usual, Chef Craig Greenidge was the culinary master, heating things up in the kitchen with his preparation of some savory dishes. For the second consecutive year, he was joined by international chef Anne Burrell. The crowd got to see and taste a bit of what's in store for this weekend.
What I did was a combination of Alfredo and macaroni pie. So it was a braised beef, Alfredo combination macaroni pie, topped with a crumble made of bacon, with biscuit, cheese and herb cracker, and panko, toasted panko. And having the students from Palm Marine is always a joy. They were even more helpful this time because it was just two, so we got to focus in on them getting to cook and everything, and I totally enjoyed that. And as I mentioned, having Anne there as well, giving advice, giving tips, so it was more of a team thing tonight.
The Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated also took the time to honor George Haynes, known to many as Uncle George, who was a long-standing operator of a food kiosk at the Bay Garden. He died earlier this year, but played an integral role in the festival.
12 years ago when we started this festival, Uncle George was the pioneer. He was here grilling up his fish and just bringing all the tourists here. And he's continued to do that for the last 12 years. And this year he has been called up to do a fish fry somewhere else in a bigger place. But we wanted to honor his family tonight and to let them know that we know he is the true tourism ambassador.
The BTMI gifted his family with a plaque and a painting. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Well, several new prizes are being introduced for this year's National Independence Festival of Creative Arts. This from Chief Cultural Officer at the National Cultural Foundation, Andrea Wells, who was speaking during the official launch of the 50th anniversary of NIFCA.
These include the NIFCA 50th Anniversary Award, a cash prize of $2,000 in each discipline being offered for the most outstanding entry in that discipline. An award to commemorate the Barbados Landship's 160th anniversary, also valued at $2,000, is offered in each discipline to any entry that shines a light on this indigenous Barbadian tradition. The Business Entrepreneur Prize, first time offered this year and valued at $15,000 in each discipline. This award will be won by any adult top awarded individual or group whose entry is assessed to have great market potential with a product or process that can be reproduced for mass sale.
This year's celebrations will also feature new citizenship prizes in partnership with the National Transformation Initiative and the commissioning of murals at schools in tribute to 7 NIFCA icons. During the evening, attendees viewed video installations of various disciplines over the years, as well as performances in song, dance, and music. Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Chantal Munro-Knight, said NIFCA continues to provide a platform for topical issues.
Complex themes that have to do with climate change, complex themes that have to do with domestic violence and things that we didn't want to say out loud, the NIFCA stage provided expression for. Yeah, it provided expression for. It created a mirror for us to look at our societies and say things that were perhaps a little bit uncomfortable with. And that is perhaps the job of the arts.
Soca Queen Alison Hines, the chairman of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Tricia Tannis, and president of manufacturing powerhouse Lenstech, Ian Hickling, tells us about being awarded honorary degrees by the University of the West Indies at Cave Hill here in Barbados.
The Cave Hill campus of the University of the West Indies in Barbados is honoring 3 distinguished individuals this week for their contribution in their various fields of work. International entertainer and Barbados Cultural Ambassador Alison Hines, the first female managing director of Unicomer Barbados Limited, and within the Unicomer Caribbean and Latin America group Tricia Tannis, and president of one of the leading export manufacturers in Barbados, Lenstech, Ian Hickling. About her Doctor of Letters, Hines says,
I feel very honored, I was not expecting anything like this.
Tannis describes her feelings regarding her Doctor of Laws.
To some degree, I'm still taking it all in, and profoundly humbled that the University Council would have bestowed this on me.
Hickling on his Doctor of Science.
Yeah, I'm extremely honoured to receive this degree, and it was totally out of left field. I didn't expect it.
Tannis, whose first degree in accounting is from the University of the West Indies at Cave Hill, says whichever doors her doctorate opens, she would be focused on representing people.
I've been blessed to be the first in a couple of things, first female. And I often say being the first is good, but it's more important not to be the last female. It's important that females like me essentially pull the ladder down, brush it off, and essentially show other persons, how to put their foot on one rung or the other.
Hickling, whose company Lenstech exports some 750,000 artificial lenses every year used in restoring people's vision to more than 50 countries, including China, has fresh inspiration for pursuing new research to combat diseases.
What I see from getting this degree is an opportunity to restart that kind of thing so that we can look at better ways of treating those NCDs here.
A pioneer in taking the Caribbean genre of soca to the world, Hines says her degree will give her an additional platform.
Bring more attention to the things that are important to me when it comes to things like women's rights and the case of children and really, exploring those things, development of creatives, especially females within our genre, soca.
Stacey Russell, CBC News.
Cooperatives played a major role over the years in solving a problem which many poor people had, that of financial inclusivity. That assertion from Professor Justin Robinson, Pro-Vice Chancellor of the UE Five Islands campus. He was delivering the City of Bridgetown Winston Allen lecture on the role of the cooperative and credit unions in Republican Barbados in the third decade of the 21st century, now and the future. Wendy Burke has that story.
Professor Justin Robinson, an economist, says that Barbados, in the face of a low-growth equilibrium, is facing a triple C crisis: the uncommunicable diseases, crime, and the climate crisis, along with AI and the fifth industrial revolution.
Financial exclusion refers to individuals and populations without access to common or basic financial services. So again, the things we take for granted. And around the world up to today, and as was the acute case in the 1950s Barbados, many persons were excluded from these basic financial services because of their socioeconomic status, and they couldn't meet the requirements of formal banking institutions. And again, this poses a huge challenge to those persons as they are unable to participate in the financial sector.
He added that one of the major contributions of cooperatives when they started was enabling laborers to have an account at a financial institution at a time when they could not have one at a commercial bank. That, of course, has since changed.
While globally, 20% of persons do not have access to financial services. So if you take it globally, you can identify about 20% of the global population are financially excluded. They do not have access to basic financial services. In the most recent survey in Barbados, 2016-17, almost 100% of persons surveyed had access to either savings or a checking account.
The lecture formed part of CLB's 40th anniversary celebrations. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
Changes are coming to the accounting standards for insurance companies. Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, or ICAB, Damien Skeet, made the disclosure at the Radisson Aquatica Resort as preparations start for the observance of Accountants Week 2023 from November 5th to 11th. He said changes will have a big impact on business in Barbados.
If you are not aware, there's a new standard for insurance companies, IFRS 17, that will be applicable for these entities from January 1, 2024. This standard is so transformational that insurance companies have to make changes to their customer service and accounting software. ICAB has been engaging with the Financial Service Commission since the start of this year on this standard and its impact not only on domestic insurance companies, but also our captive insurance companies.
The Vice President of ICAB is working with stakeholders on an initiative aimed at raising awareness in the industry about the standard. Let's head back over to the sports studio for the second half in sports. Anne-Marie?
I promise you some volleyball action. Deacons scored a double strike when the Gardner Enterprises Limited Division 1 Volleyball League returned to the Wildy Gymnasium. Deacons women were straight sets winners over Carlton 25-20, 25-9, 27-25, while Toners also were winners over Club United in straight sets. In the men's action, Deacons beat Progressive and Chargers men were 21-25, 25-13, 25-17, 25-19 winners over All Stars. Here's a look at the Toners match and the Deacons men. Serving off with the ladies is Toners in the red and white against Club United, and from the jump, Toners took command. That was Donique Allen with the spike. Allen then stepped into the server's role. Club United picks it up and were able to dish it back to Toners thanks to Dana Paul. But on the very next play, Toners will be back on the winning side of things. Ashley Jordan goes in for the kill, but it was saved. But then miscommunication caused United to hand Toners another point. And what was the first set of both teams really fighting tooth and nail to take the early dibs would see one team prevail. Nicely saved by Shanapula, and the ball is kept in play. United looking to make the most of the free pass, just could not set it up, so now literally the ball was in Toners' court. And here they go. Ashley Jordan switches up for the soft dink and prevails. Toners took the first set at 25-23. Second set started with Toners still in the driver's seat. Salisha Algeese delivers the blow at the net. But United was not making it an easy encounter. We pick up this rally in the latter stages as it was one of the longer ones of the game. Toners tries to break through, but the libero says, oh no. United now looking to make it work for them, but the cross-score spike is saved. It's a tooth-and-nail fight. Another save at the net, and finally Toners get the break they need. The ladies were giving us an entertaining game. And while Toners stake claim to the second set at 25-19, United had the third in their control, and they were delivering the blows. United then added an ace in the mix as they were able to pull the third set back, taking it 25-22. So this is the final set, and Toners already up 2-1. We're just looking to close it out. Jordan again with that effective dink. And just to close it down, Toners took the fourth set at 25-12, and that was the win. On the men's side of things, it was also a four-setter between Deacons and Progressive. Progressive is blocked at the net, and despite an attempt to save it, Deacons came out on the winning end. Deacons in the black, who lost the first set 18-25, but won back the second and third at 14-20, wanted to close out on this fourth to seal the deal. But Progressive was in fighting mode. That was Fabian Cox. But Deacons had an answer for every point. Now that was a sweet ding into mid-court. When these two meet, you're guaranteed a battle royale. And after all these years, veteran Cox still knows how to deliver the firepower. And they aren't perennial champions for nothing. Even if what is a young brigade, Deacons still has the goods. And here's where they close it out. The block at the net is what it took as Deacons remain unbeaten, winning the final set at 25-19. Now, last year's losing finalists to St. Michael's School started this year's Dasani Powerade on the 19 netball competition with a convincing win over Darrell Jordan. Playing at home in Martindale's Road in the blue and green, they demolished the girls from the north 31-7. Also having a commanding start was Springer Memorial, who blew away Parkinson 34-1. Alexandra's team rolled Ellerslie 31-0. Harrison College got by Leicester-Vaughan 11-9, while the Law School beat Princess Margaret 30-20.
Well, that's our news for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.